is there something that you would give someone advice towards now who may be in grad school as an SLP who's about to transition to becoming a CF? Something that might, uh, give them a little bit of insight into that transition.
Mhm. Definitely. There's a couple of things, and I mean, I'm still learning. I'm only in my second
Yeah.
year. I know I'm going to be learning for my whole life, but there's a couple of things kind of recently. I've been talking to some of my friends who are teachers and are kind of struggling with the same thing. Like you're in a new environment, you're trying to build confidence and make it work. So the two things that I have in mind right away are number one is that showing up is just important. As long as you're there and you're engaging with the child in one way or another, you're in a good spot to start, right? Your lesson plan doesn't have to go perfectly. The child might not like what you have planned that day, but as long as you're there and you're present in the session, you're already doing half the work. You're engaging the child.
Mhm.
Um, and another one that I actually read online recently and it really resonated
Yeah.
with me was that you can't make a child or a parent or a client do anything. So as a speech therapist, I have a lot of early intervention clients and I want to hear them say their first word. I want to hear them, express their wants and needs. But I can only provide the modeling, the foundation, the teach the parents the strategies for those things. There's nothing that I can do that will physically make this child speak. And
Yeah.
so that kind of took a lot of burden off my shoulders reading that because I y that's how I'm measuring my success
Yeah.
is through this family and this child, and no, it's up to them to ultimately apply those things and earn those skills.
Yeah. You're just like shaking the kid like Adam Sandler and Billy Madison, like, "Say something before my CF year's over.
That's
I
so
wanna hear
true.
those words.
Yep.
Stay in school, but say those words." Um, but yeah, that is a good point that, like, you can't, force like, when you try to force something to happen, it can almost backfire on you. Like, you're gonna you may be doing something to, sort of fulfill your own I don't know if I would call it, like, jealousy, but, like, your own desire to see something happen before it was meant to happen as an SLP instead of just letting the kid do it, and I imagine that that's pretty hard as someone who is spending, at least a few days a week with a kid, depending on your service schedule, where you're like, okay, it's been this much time. I want to hear them say something. Like, I'm gonna move on soon. I want to reach these milestones, like it says in the textbook. So
Mhm.
that seems like that would be something that's difficult to navigate.
Mhm, and so, like, when you have a different career, like maybe in sales or something like that, you have kind of a measurement of your success, like, "Oh, I sold this many houses or I sold this many books," or whatever, but we have to remember our goal is just to set others up for success, it's
Hmm.
not about our own really personal, success, and so that kind of mindset change really helped me.
Is there anything that you would change about your CF year, whether it was layout or schedule or just amount of supervision, just something looking back where you go, like, if I was creating my own CF situation where I was overseeing CF SLP to Bs, you would do this instead of that.
Mm. I would say, honestly, there's nothing I would change because I feel like I learned so much through the good and through the bad. So, my supervisor set me up with a great schedule, but then just by chance, a couple of things fell through, and I kind of had to advocate for myself and say, okay, I need more cases and I need them soon. And I was in some schools where the attendance was really poor. And of course, looking back, I would have really liked to just have a kid that's there all the time. But it kind of
Yeah.
made me learn, okay, how do I adapt and do makeup sessions? How do I educate the parents about the importance of showing up to school and showing up to speech sessions? How do I work with the teachers to make a good schedule? So, all of these little bumps in the road that I had while I was finalizing my schedule and also providing services, really set me up for this year where I was able to make a great schedule. I was able
Mhm.
to be a little bit more firm and a little bit more, you know, what would be the word like? stand up for myself when making a
Yeah,
schedule and
yeah.
choosing cases and things like that. So there were days where maybe the day was a little bit longer than I wanted, or maybe I was doing a little bit more driving than I wanted to, but it was all a learning experience to set me up for the next year.
Yeah, driving seems like the common through line for all the therapists that I've talked to on the podcast.
Mhm.
It seems like you're not an SLP unless you've, crammed lunch into your face in your car in
Mhm.
under 5 minutes as you're, driving to your next case.
Mhm, that's exactly it because, we get paid for those direct times, but not those indirect times. So when there's days that you're bouncing around to multiple schools in a row, you kind of feel like you're losing money, but it's part
Yeah,
of what you need. Some schools only have one kid that needs services.
yeah.
Other schools, like one I'm at now, I have six kids that need services, even though it's
Wow.
a typically typical, not a program.